Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm Frederick County Executive Jan Gardner, and joining me today is Rick Slade. And Rick is the new superintendent of the Catoctin Mountain Park. Welcome, Rick.
Well, thanks, Jan. Good to be here.
I'm pleased that you could come on the program. I really wanted to share with the public a little bit about who you are and a little bit about what's happening at the Catoctin Mountain Park. So why don't we start off with you sharing a little bit about your background?
Okay, well, I'm originally from Kansas, so came to the East Coast to go to graduate school and ended up meeting my wife. And so over the course of the past 15 years, we've obviously been together and raised a family, but through the Park Service have had a chance to move all over the country. So we lived on the border in Mexico at a park down in Texas. We lived outside of Atlanta at a big urban recreation area, and then we moved back up to the DC area where she's from when I became superintendent at Monocacy National Battlefield. Very happy at that point to be moving to Frederick, a community we always really loved. Even when we lived in DC, we would come up to Frederick and just love this area. So I was super happy to get that job and am obviously thrilled now to stay in the area and have the job up at Catoctin.
Well, certainly I want to congratulate you on the new position. You do fill the shoes of a well-loved superintendent who had been there for quite a long time. And I don't know if that's traditional in the Park Service to have people stay in a particular position for a long time or not.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because the Park Service, definitely the culture is to move. It's to move every, say, 5-6 years. That's how people advance, and that's kind of the culture, is to keep experiencing new places, new adventures. A lot of the people that work for the Park Service are adventurous. But there are those kind of plum jobs, I think, where people tend to get them and stay. And I think in this case, Catoctin is one of those. So Mel stayed a long time, and I know a number of his predecessors stayed 10, 15, 18 years. So.
Well, the Catoctin Mountains are certainly not like Kansas.
Yeah, not like Kansas. That's exactly right.
It's very different, but it's beautiful. Can you share a little bit of the history of the park and what's going on?
Yeah. So historically, I mean, the park was established during the Great Depression. It was one of the New Deal era parks that were set up through the Recreation Demonstration Act, and they established through that act, Congress determined that there would be, I think there ended up 46 different recreation demonstration areas across the country. And they were intended to do a number of different things. They were intended to give people jobs and get people back to work, but they were also intended to help rehabilitate landscapes that had either been deforested through agricultural practices or otherwise were in sort of subprime shape. And so they not only helped get people jobs, but they, in the case of Catoctin, they built camps, they did reforestation. So it was really this sense of renewal of some of these interesting landscapes. And in the case of Catoctin, it was very key that it was close to both DC and Baltimore. So the idea was that they would establish a recreation area in proximity to some major urban hubs.
Well, it is a very busy park, and there's a lot of things to do there. So it's very different from the Monocacy Battlefield, where I think I really enjoyed interacting with you there. But they're both national parks, but they're very, very different in nature. So. Can you talk a little bit about the recreational opportunities and the educational opportunities?
Yeah. With Monocacy, it's interesting because it was a new park, so it was definitely one of those parks that we were trying to build the identity of the place. Catoctin obviously is well established. It's been here over 80 years now, and has over time attracted a lot of visitation. And I think people come for different reasons. The majority of the people that come definitely come to hike. We have 25 miles of trail, some wonderful overlooks, neat topography, nice geology. With that secondary growth forest, there's lots of birds and animals, and so people really come, I think, to have that wilderness experience, again, close to some very densely populated areas. But then you've also got the cabins and the historic camps, so you can come and you can camp in one of our cabins. We have tent camping. We have a lot of education programs, so a lot of kids come out to do educational stuff through their schools. So there's really just a whole wealth of opportunities. Obviously, in the summertime, the trout fishing is something that a lot of people love to come do. In the wintertime, there's skiing. So, all the seasons. In the fall, of course, everybody comes out for the fall colors. So it's really a year-round recreational area, and as a result, we get, 500, 600,000 visitors a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people coming through the parks. Now, I know this year is the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service, so I know a lot of our national parks are gearing up for that. So is there anything special happening?
Well, at Catoctin, we have a number of things that we're doing as part of the Centennial. We just actually completed a BioBlitz, which is basically a citizen science activity. And it was
called a BioBlitz?
BioBlitz. So it's a 24-hour intensive inventory of biological resources in park areas. And this was done in partnership with the National Park Foundation and National Geographic as a national event, and we were one of the over 120 parks, I think, nationwide did one of these BioBlitzes. So we've kind of kicked the Centennial off with that, and then looking ahead, the whole theme of the Park Service Centennial is Find Your Park. And the goal is to attract and hopefully retain the next generation of park visitors, supporters, and advocates, people that will care about these parks going into the future. So in the spirit of that, we're doing some education programs. We've reached out to the schools. We have a partnership with Frederick County Public Libraries that we think is doing a good job of getting some kids engaged. But really, long term, we also have an exhibit. We're updating our entire exhibitry in our visitor center.
Wow.
So that's something that we're going to do in recognition of the Centennial, but also, putting together, 30, 40-year set of exhibits that will really be a mainstay of people's experience.
And when will those exhibits be completed?
Well, I don't know the exact time frame. We're right now in the middle of design. And so once we've got design done, we'll look at fabrication and trying to get the funding to actually put them in. But, our hope is in the next couple years to have that done.
Very good. Well, I know, I think the park has been actively involved with the Tourism Council of Frederick County as well, because it is one of our many tourist attractions. And I know a lot of people from around the state who come there to go camping.
Yeah, and Frederick County is a terrific place, and I think it's 5 national parks exist, either all or in part in Frederick County. And so, it's one of the things that makes this place really, truly special as a county, and it's something that I take pride in as a Park Service employee. And one of the things that was very exciting about staying here with this new job was the opportunity to continue to work with the Tourism Council and do the wonderful things, share in the wonderful work that they do. So.
Well, and it's certainly easy to find too.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
It has real access right there off US 15, and it's very supported by the town of Thurmont and the entire community. So we're really happy to have our parks here, and the best thing is it does preserve that part of nature and the natural environment in our community for existing residents and future generations to enjoy. And I know people here, love the staycation and can find plenty of things to do right here at home.
Yeah, it's a great place, and we're happy to be part of that balance that people, I think, are looking for more and more.
So do you have any specific goals that you'd like to accomplish?
Oh, in terms of the sort of immediate things, I've only been there 4 weeks, so I'm still getting a feel for the park and the people and the place. But one thing that I know it will be an urgent issue for us going forward is the infrastructure. It's 80 years old, and a lot of the water lines and the wastewater systems that were established are really probably past their useful life. And so we've got some pretty urgent things that we're going to try to do in the next 3 or 4 years to kind of just get the basic infrastructure up and running. And outside of that, with the Centennial, we're really going to be opening the doors and trying to get more people in and looking at those historic camps, how to establish, the next 30 or 40 years of use for those places. So it's really all about the future up at Catoctin.
Okay. So if people wanted to get involved and volunteer at the park, how can they find out and get some more information about that?
Yeah, I think the easiest thing is just to go to our website, www.nps, that's short for National Park Service.gov, and then /CATO, C-A-T-O. And you can get all the information you want there about the park and its resources and what to do, as well as information on volunteering and big events. So I would send people to that spot, and then if they want to follow up with a call to the visitor center, folks there can help to kind of track their particular interest if they want to volunteer on, say, historic preservation projects, or they want to do exotic plant removal, or they want to maintain trails. So if they want to talk to somebody, definitely call the visitor center, and they can get your name and give you a better idea of what might be in the works.
Are there any major challenges that the community can help with?
The challenges are really just going to be maintenance, and we welcome people to help, again, with historic preservation with the cabin camps. We've been doing restaining the exteriors of those, and they really pop. When you get them restained, they look, it's 1938 again, and they look brand new. So there's that kind of stuff. Exotic plant removal is always a priority, and then the trail work is never ending. 25 miles of trails don't maintain themselves.
Yeah,
so,
well,
yeah.
the weather continues.
Yes,
so
yeah, the weather.
It's always a battle against the
Yes.
environment.
Correct. The rain and the
rain and the snow.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I mean the weather, not the environment itself.
Yes,
because
no.
we want to preserve the
general
environment, so it's there for people to appreciate in the future.
Yep.
So, well, I certainly wish you a lot of success. I look forward to working with you. I think it is a great community asset, and we really value our national parks and our parks in general in Frederick County. So, anything else you'd like to add?
No, but thank you for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk about Catoctin and help to hopefully bring new visitors to the park.
Well, I'll certainly encourage our residents to take people there, particularly when they have visitors from out of town. I think it is a real asset we have and a gem in our community, and that's one way to spread the word.
Yep. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned a little bit about Catoctin Mountain Park, and I hope you'll take a few moments to visit the park this year as part of the National Park Service Centennial, and we thank you for joining us.